Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Sai Gaura Premanande, Hari Om. Hare Krishna. Nobody's here. They pretty much, everybody that was going to come said that they couldn't make it.
Oh,
So we are here with me and Ashok Prabhu.
okay.
And I'm picking up where we left off in 1863. But I'm going to start with the Mangalacharana prayers. Then we'll dive in. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. Alright, we're going to try to finish this today. Okay.
There was 71. How many are there? Not that many.
It's like 14 pages.
$75 total.
Okay.
78.
15 verses. Okay. Say 1863. Iti te jnanam akyatam guyad guyataram maya vimrishyaitara sheshena ite chasi yata kuru. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Purport. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahmabhuta. One who is in the Brahmabhuta condition is joyful. He never laments, nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also discloses knowledge of the Supersoul. This is also Brahman knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here the words yate chasi tata kuru, as you like you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the Supersoul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the Supersoul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the Personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. 64. Sarva guyatamam bhuya shrinu me paramang vachaha ishtosi me dridhamiti tato vakshyami te hitam. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Purport. The Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahman, and still more confidential, knowledge of the Supersoul within everyone's heart. And now, he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge. Just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of the 9th chapter, he has said, Man manaha, just always think of me. The same instruction is repeated here to stress the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This essence is not understood by a common man, but by one who is actually very dear to Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. This is the most important instruction in all Vedic literature. What Krishna is saying in this connection is the most essential part of knowledge, and it should be carried out not only by Arjuna, but by all living entities. Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mamevaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Purport. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, Varaha, and so on. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekang sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mukshayishyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Purport. The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, and so on. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him, and he should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11,676. Anakuliyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye sadvidha sharanagati. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord and full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, and so on. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attached by the supersoul feature, and so on. Some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here, ma suchaha, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. Idam te natapashkaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushurusave vacham na cha mamyam yasuyati. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Purport. Persons who have not undergone the austerities of the religious process, who have never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not tended a pure devotee, and especially those who are conscious of Krishna only as a historical personality, or who are envious of the greatness of Krishna, should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge. It is, however, sometimes found that even demoniac persons who are envious of Krishna, worshipping Krishna in a different way, take to the profession of explaining Bhagavad Gita in a different way to make business. But anyone who desires actually to understand Krishna must avoid such commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is not understandable to those who are sensuous. Even if one is not sensuous but is strictly following the disciplines enjoined in the Vedic scripture, if he's not a devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna. And even when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna but is not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, he also cannot understand Krishna. There are many persons who envy Krishna because he has explained in Bhagavad Gita that he is the supreme and that nothing is above him or equal to him. There are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad Gita, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not try to comment upon Bhagavad Gita. Ya idam paramam guyam madbhakteshvabidashiti Bhaktim mai param kritva mam evaish yat yasangshayah. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Purport. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. That's encouraging. Nacha tasman manusyeshu kaschin me priyakritamaha avidhana cha me tasmaranya priyatoro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Aryeshyate chaya imam dharmyam samvaramavayaho jnana yagena tenaham ishtasyamiti me matihi. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. Shradhavan anasuyascha shrinuyadapi yo naraha sapi mukta subhalokan prapnuyat punyakarmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Purport. In the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gita's being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions, and after that, attain to the planetary system where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. Generally, those who are free from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. The word punya karmanam is very significant here. This refers to the performance of great sacrifices like the Ashvamedha Yajna, mentioned in the Vedic literature. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service but who are not pure can attain the planetary system of the pole star or Dhruva Loka, where Dhruva Maharaj is presiding. He is a great devotee of the Lord, and he has a special planet which is called the pole star. Kachiritaschutam bharta tvayayikagrena chetasa kachirajnana samoha Parnashtaste Dhananjaya. O son of Prita, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? Purport. The Lord was acting as the spiritual master of Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. If not, the Lord was ready to explain any point or the whole Bhagavad Gita if so required. Actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad Gita from a bona fide spiritual master like Krishna or his representative will find that all his ignorance is dispelled. Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book written by a poet or fiction writer. It is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any person fortunate enough to hear these teachings from Krishna or from his bona fide spiritual representative is sure to become a liberated person and get out of the darkness of ignorance. Arjuna uvacha ashtamoha smritir labdha tvat prasadan mayachyuta statasmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions." Purport. The constitutional position of a living entity represented by Arjuna is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes the liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusory Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition, but if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya, to trap the living entity, is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul illusioned by the external energy of matter does not know that the Supreme Lord is the Master who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is especially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of inexhaustible time, and he is full of all opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sanjaya uvacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmana sambadam imam ashrosam adbhutam ramaharshanam. Sanjaya said, "Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end." Purport. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? The entire study was related to the heart of Sanjaya by the grace of his spiritual master Vyas. He thus explained the theme of the battlefield. The conversation was wonderful because such an important conversation between two great souls had never taken place before and would not take place again. It was wonderful because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking about himself and his energies to the living entity, Arjuna, a great devotee of the Lord. If we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy and successful. Sanjaya realized this, and as he began to understand it, he related the conversation to Dhritarashtra. Now it is concluded that wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is victory. Vyasa prasadashrutavan itar guriyamaham param yogam yogeshvarat krishnat sakshat katayata swayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. By the mercy of, purport. Vyasa was the spiritual master of Sanjaya, and Sanjaya admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham. Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyasa. Therefore, Vyasa is as bona fide as Arjuna, because he comes in the disciplic succession, and Sanjaya is the direct disciple of Vyasa. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya's senses were purified, and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned. In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga, are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. It is to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. Rajang sangsmritya sambhadamema madabhutam Keshavarjuna yo punyam rishyami cha muhurmuhu. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. Purport. The understanding of Bhagavad Gita is so transcendental that anyone who becomes conversant with the topics of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous, and he cannot forget such talks. This is the transcendental position of spiritual life. In other words, one who hears the Gita from the right source, directly from Krishna, attains full Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened, and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. Tasya sangsmritya rupam mat yadabhutam hare Vishmayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha punaha. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Purport. It appears that Sanjaya also, by the grace of Vyasa, could see the universal form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna. It is, of course, said that Lord Krishna had never exhibited such a form before. It was exhibited to Arjuna only, yet some great devotees could also see the universal form of Krishna when it was shown to Arjuna. And Vyasa was one of them. He is one of the great devotees of the Lord, and he is considered to be a powerful incarnation of Krishna. Vyasa disclosed this to his disciple Sanjaya, who remembered that wonderful form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna and enjoyed it repeatedly. Yatra yogeshvara Krishna yatra partho dhanurdaraha tatra shrir vijayo bhutir dhutva nitir matir mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Purport. The Bhagavad Gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra's. He was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. He was hopeful that the victory would be on his side, but after describing the scene on the battlefield, Sanjaya told the king, "You are thinking of victory, but my opinion is that where Krishna and Arjuna are present, there will be all good fortune." He directly confirmed that Dhritarashtra could not expect victory for his side. Victory was certain for the side of Arjuna because Krishna was there. Krishna's acceptance of the post of charioteer for Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence. Krishna is full of all opulences, and renunciation is one of them. There are many instances of such renunciation for Krishna. There are many instances of such renunciation, for Krishna is also the master of renunciation. The fight was actually between Duryodhana and Yudhishthira. Arjuna was fighting on behalf of his elder brother Yudhishthira because Krishna and Arjuna were on the side of Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira's victory was certain. The battle was to decide who would rule the world, and Sanjaya predicted that the power would be transferred to Yudhishthira. It is also predicted here that Yudhishthira, after gaining victory in this battle, would flourish more and more because not only was he righteous and pious, but he was also a strict moralist. He never spoke a lie during his life. There are many less intelligent persons who take Bhagavad Gita to be a discussion of topics between two friends on a battlefield. But such a book cannot be scripture. Some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral, but the reality of the situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita is the supreme instruction in morality. The supreme instruction of morality is stated in the 9th chapter, in the 34th verse, Manmana bhava madbhakta. One must become a devotee of Krishna, and the essence of all religion is to surrender unto Krishna. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekang sharanam braja. The instructions of Bhagavad Gita constitute the supreme process of religion and of morality. All other processes may be purifying and may lead to this process, but the last instruction of the Gita is the last word in all morality and religion. Surrender unto Krishna. This is the verdict of the 18th chapter. From Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculation and by meditation is one process, but to fully surrender unto Krishna is the highest perfection. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The path of regulative principles according to the orders of social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge. But although the rituals of religion are confidential, meditation and cultivation of knowledge are still more confidential. And surrender unto Krishna and devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction. That is the essence of the 18th chapter. Another feature of Bhagavad Gita is that the actual truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The absolute truth is realized in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Perfect knowledge of the absolute truth means perfect knowledge of Krishna. If one understands Krishna, then all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of that understanding. Krishna is transcendental, for he is always situated in his internal potency. The living entities are manifested of his energy and are divided into two classes: eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. Such living entities are innumerable, and they are considered fundamental parts of Krishna. Material energy is manifested into 24 divisions. The creation is affected by eternal time, and it is created and dissolved by external energy. This manifestation of the cosmic world repeatedly becomes visible and invisible. In Bhagavad Gita, 5 principal subject matters have been discussed: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, the living entities, eternal time, and all kinds of activities. All is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. All conceptions of the absolute truth, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and any other transcendental conception exist within the category of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although superficially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, material nature, and time appear to be different, nothing is different from the Supreme. But the Supreme is always different from everything. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is that of inconceivable oneness and difference. This system of philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity in his original position is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Thus, Lord Krishna may be compared to the sun and the living entities to sunshine. Because the living entities are the marginal energy of Krishna, they have a tendency to be in contact either with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord. And because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Alright, Krishna. We finished the Bhagavad Gita.
I have two questions on these verses. One was, why do they keep saying confidential knowledge? What is confidential? Confidential, in my view, is something that is not known publicly.
Right.
And the second question that I have is, what does it mean to surrendering to Krishna?
Okay. So chapter 9 is called The Most Confidential Knowledge. And I'm going to try to find a direct answer from Prabhupada explaining. I know the answer, I know what he says, but I want to read it directly. Let me see. Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitam Idamuttamam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, and so on. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world in many huge universities. But there is unfortunately no university or educational institution where the science of the spirit soul is instructed. Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the bodily necessities of life, not caring for the vital soul. I know he says directly, like, this is why. But basically,
if you find later on.
Right, well, basically what he says is it's an open secret. And the thing is, like we did just read in the purport in the end of the 18th chapter where he was talking about if someone approaches a devotional service with a different intention or this and that, then they can't really understand Krishna. And so basically, it's an openly available secret, but it's also not. You can't just open the book and directly understand, because you have to have the right mood, the right attitude of devotional service. Otherwise, the knowledge isn't revealed to you. Like, people will just come to some other conclusion or whatever, and in that way it's considered to be like a secret. Because basically what we're hearing is basically the absolute truth is Krishna. Like, Krishna is the knowledge. So it's like basically Krishna, like we don't have the power to understand Krishna unless he reveals himself to us. So it's just like anybody else. Like if I don't like somebody, if they're kind of a jerk, then I don't have to like show them much about me. So like Krishna is also like that. So if we don't come in the right mood, then he won't reveal it, and in that way, it's like confidential. Even though he's making it available for everyone, but there is a price to pay of devotion, basically. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's why they're calling it confidential, because not just anybody can understand it.
In that sense, it is confidential.
Right. And like surrendering to Krishna, basically, well, the practical application is basically taking shelter of an actual pure devotee and following the instructions of the pure devotee, basically. You know, we have like basic instructions. It's like, okay, you know, everybody does this. You know, chanting. This is the Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name. That, and well, a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know exactly how to instruct you to, you know, facilitate your growth in Krishna consciousness. You know, and so by surrendering to him is basically this non-different than surrendering to Krishna in terms of, you know, even, you know, what you're gonna do, like practically, but I think more so it's not surrendering to Krishna isn't so much like, okay, the guru tells you, I want you to get a job at this place and give this amount of money every month or something. It's not necessarily that. It's more like devotional mood. You know, unless the spiritual master gives you a direct instruction, but most of the time, I don't think the guru is not really supposed to like micromanage your life. But you know, like Krishna also, I've the more time passes, the more I see the less any of these external things really matter. If I do this job or that job, Krishna doesn't really care about that. You know, what he cares is like how much love in my heart do I have for him and for his, you know, parts and parcels and living entities, and what's my consciousness. And so there's like different levels. I remember I heard one sannyasi explaining that, like hearing, you know, hearing is like our main process, and hearing is like basically having the space in your heart to allow Krishna to come in, and like not, you know, like not having like other ideas, or if we do, presenting them sincerely and really hearing and like submissively, you know, reasonably open. And the more we're like really in that quality is basically, it's simultaneously directly connected with surrender and faith. Yeah. But it's so vast, you know, like the way one expresses their devotion. Someone might say, okay, serve the Vaishnavas, so okay, I just do that. Someone might say, okay, I need to preach, and you know, but it's like I don't think that really matters so much as long as we're doing something in service. And then, you know, some people they just make their own way. You know, it's not like you have to be like in a certain institution or something. Yeah. I don't know if any of that was relevant.
Yeah.
What about you? You have any like thing you'd like to share, Prabhuji? Like your realization or anything to share on it?
thing is interesting here, and that is, and I also find it a little conflicting though, is that Krishna says, I have explained you all this, and now you do as you wish to do. So he's not taking any responsibility for Arjuna's actions. He's saying, I have told you all this stuff, and as the right guru would say, that these are the constraints, these are the outcomes, this is what is going to happen if you do this. Now you decide is what you want to do. But at the same time, he's also saying, surrender to me. Is that not conflicting?
I don't see it as conflicting. I see it as like, he's giving a path, which is what he would want, but he's not forcing him to take it. Like, this is what I want. You can walk this path, but if you want to do something else, then I can't stop you. It's like a loving parent, like if the kid, like if they're trying to raise their kid to be a lawyer or a doctor, and the kid wants to join the Hare Krishnas, and like, oh, we don't want you to do that, but we try to set you up, and set you up for this, but you're an adult. We can't force you. So, I don't know. That's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the point of, this is a point that's brought up as well. What's really the free will of the living entity? Because if you engage in Maya, then you become under the control of the three modes of nature, and you're not really free. But then if you choose to surrender to Krishna, and then you have to do what Krishna wants. And basically the free will is, the only free will we actually have is to choose how we would like to be controlled. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only free will you have. How you would like to be controlled.
It's kind of a tough pill to swallow, but in my experience, it just eventually, like, no matter how free we think we are, kids, they want to experience different things, and sometimes they might do like drinking and smoking, and oh yeah, it's like free and fun. That's what they think they want. But then so much trouble comes from it by nature. Someone wants to smoke or something, and then then eventually they get like disease, and and it's like we're so actually not free. I can't just do whatever I really want. I can't just like fly, or
Yeah, because every action has some consequences. So even then you say, oh, I'm just going to drink as much as I can. Okay. But there are consequences. Are you prepared to take those consequences, accept those consequences? And if you are, then you're free. But if you're not, then you're really not free.
Alright. You're free within a jurisdiction.
Yeah. Freedom is not free.
Right. But the thing is about surrendering to Krishna is, when one becomes a pure devotee, Krishna wants to serve his pure devotees. So actually, like, it's almost like a competition of, like, I'm trying to serve Krishna, but Krishna's trying to serve me. So it's like, not me, but pure devotee. So it's like, in the spiritual world, it's almost like a competition of who can serve who. And then, like, like we're made not to be like robots or whatever, that's why Krishna gives us the choice, it has to be from the heart. Like, if he could just say, okay, everybody has to love me. But he don't do that, because, we have to actually choose. We do have that minute individuality. And so, makes it sweeter. Someone voluntarily is loving you. And instead of like, okay, where's the fun in that? Bunch of like robots. But along with that, like basically Prabhupada says the symptom of the soul is desire. So like even a pure devotee may have some desire, or even Krishna will put a desire in the pure devotee's heart just so he can satisfy it and just so he can serve the devotee. Whenever I went to Denver and I did the Bhakta program there, and then I graduated and they gave me saffron cloth. And then I was going to leave and go back to New Vrindavan, a brahmachari now. And the night before I was going to leave, I was laying in bed. And I usually never have these kinds of thoughts or feelings, but I went to lay down to go to bed, and I was craving, I really wanted pizza. I was thinking, man, I really want pizza. I don't know why. I don't normally feel that way. I don't normally crave stuff. But I was laying there, and I just really, really wanted pizza. And then the next morning, I went to breakfast, and the brahmachari secretly made a huge pizza party for me before I left. And it was mind-blowing to me. Like, what? I never told anybody. I was like really secretly wanting pizza.
Yeah.
And Krishna, it was almost like I felt like Krishna gave me that desire just so he could fulfill it through the brahmacharis. And it was like, wow, like it was so touching, It's like, it was amazing.
Yeah, that is mind-boggling. So you wanted to fulfill your desire, so you put that seed in the minds of others. Hey guys, let's give a pizza party.
I think he even put it into my mind, because I never think like that.
Right.
So it was like, it was just like somehow, and I was like, yeah, I would love, man, that'd be so nice. So that was funny. I'll never forget that. And they made like 15, 20 pizzas and different kinds and homemade everything. They made the crust, everything. I'll never forget that. Amazing.
Okay, Prabhu, so I'll see you tomorrow then. You think you can park your car on the street tomorrow before Prem Vilas comes? Maybe he and Ramana, they will come before everybody, so they can have better spot. Prem Vilas also bringing food.
Let me just end this recording here. Hare Krishna.